Hello, and be welcome to the world of darkness. Long ago was it that the sin of Cain spawned the cursed horror that stalks the street at night in search of living blood. The Kindred have long been a secret influence through all ages of human history, plotting against one another in a never-ending jihad. Their immortal progeny are among us to this day, hidden from the eyes of humanity by an elaborate masquerade. No sooner do you open your eyes, rising for the evening with a vampire's freshness, there is no lethargy or tiredness, no blinking or soreness. You awake as though you had just closed your eyes for seconds. You find already that there is a tapping, a light knock at the door, followed by the sounds of your maid calling to you. Miss Thorne? Miss Thorne?
Yes, what is it?
There is a young man waiting for you down in the sitting room. I've already seen him to tea and some of the biscuits we had. She hesitates briefly.
As she's speaking, Rebecca's kind of getting ready and getting out of bed as she says, what does this young man look like?
He is a Mr. Arthur Thorne, miss. Your nephew.
Ah. See to that he's all right, and I'll be down in a moment.
Of course, Lady Thorne. She quickly excuses herself from the presence of the door. You can hear her walking away.
Rebecca gets dressed so that she looks presentable, and then goes downstairs to join Arthur.
Is she employing the blush of life?
Oh, yeah.
You find him in the sitting room. He's the spitting image of your brother in his youth. And is sat on one of the couches, a half-drunk cup of tea in front of him, a plate of some biscuits and a half-eaten sandwich as well. The maid is smiling, looking down at him, her hands folded over her midsection as they speak. The moment you come into the room, Edna bows her head and steps back out of the room as Arthur stands up. Aunt Rebecca, how does the evening find you? I wasn't expecting you to be in bed so soon.
Rebecca approaches Arthur, arms wide in greeting, and as she nears him, putting a hand on his shoulder, and she says, "So good to see you, but I do wish you had told me before that you were coming."
He quickly closes the distance, putting his arms around Rebecca, and after a moment, pulling back, saying, "Yes, I know, I apologize for the part. It was a spontaneous thing. I am in need of someone to talk to, and I thought you might be the most sympathetic."
Of course, let's sit down.
Should we sit closer to the fire? You're a bit cold.
She kind of waves her hand away, just like, "Oh no, that's quite all right. I think I've gotten used to the big house and coldness seeping into my skin. It's all right. Sit down. Tell me, what is it that brings you here?"
Sitting down, he puts his hands on his knees and begins to open his mouth to speak before silencing himself immediately. Seems to fiddle with his pant leg before pulling out the fabric a little and gesturing with a finger to the archway towards the front door. "Auntie, I was told that you had a visitor, a regular one, Some gentleman caller?
Rebecca gives a slight raised eyebrow. She says, "And who has told you that?"
The gentleman you have working for you. He mentioned it in passing. I don't think Mr. Alana meant anything by it, but I was slightly worried. I hadn't heard that you were meeting any gentlemen alone in your home.
I do occasionally entertain company.
Well, I hope they're good company, then. Otherwise, I might have to have a word with him. Or grandfather.
You've no need to worry about me.
That's nonsense. Oh, my aunt. And my father's sister. Why wouldn't I worry? I hope he's a respectable man. A gentleman. Otherwise, I'll have to have harsh words with him.
It's very good of you. You're growing up to be a good young man.
I certainly try. Not that I have anyone to really compare myself to.
You have your grandfather.
Oh, grandfather is... I love grandfather, but you know how he can be. After a few moments of polite conversation, everything comes back to the Empire. And I'm bored of the Empire and conversation about it.
Yes, Edmund did need to get it from somewhere.
I mean, I'm as proud as any other Londoner or servant of the Queen, just... He waves a hand.
How have your studies been going?
Well enough, I suppose. I admit I find them to be dreadfully dull.
And what do you find more enrapturing?
Well, conversation, of course. Conversation, horse riding, hunting. Anything that isn't being in some stuffy room with a lecturer ranting on. I swear, one of my lecturers, the way he talks, I swear he's trying to put us all to sleep. I find myself with my eyes growing heavy, Aunt Rebecca. It's dreadful. And then he wants me to answer questions as though I could hear him. You'd swear the man was singing a lullaby.
A good lecturer should be one with passion for what he speaks about and able to infuse that passion into the students.
Oh, he has passion plenty. I just don't have passion for it. I don't like learning in that way. It's so dull. I learn more from grandfather in conversation than I learn from my lecturers. At least more of it sticks. It just feels as though the moment they start opening their mouths, a fog comes over my mind like it were the city of London. That's in part why I'm here, I suppose. You see, I've made some friends while attending. One who's completely disinterested in the university, but he's a good sort. I've gone hunting with him a few times, and the stories he tells are always very amusing. And I've also met a lady that I feel father would approve of. I know grandfather wouldn't.
Out of character, what was that last bit?
He knows grandfather wouldn't approve of her. The first thought probably going through your mind, oh no, you met a Scotswoman, didn't you?
A woman?
You see a sudden, almost illumination take over his expression. His eyes practically sparkle as though he's picturing her already in his mind. His whole posture changes to an all-around more energetic disposition. Yes, he puts a hand over his lower lip. Her name is Emily.
Well, do go on. Don't stop there.
After a moment, he seems to pluck up the courage to continue speaking. She is the strangest woman I've ever met. She is, in every way, she is like the wild roses, which are her favorite flower. So full of passion and beauty, but painful to the touch. But it is a pleasurable pain almost. For instance, we went to this dreadful little Jewish theater to watch a performance, and she loved it. She loved how horribly bad it was, saying that it was so bad that it was amusing. And I said, if that's the case, then we should go to the East End. Apparently I said something funny. She's exuberant at all times, and she is never subdued. She's nothing like English women.
If she's not an English woman, where is she from?
She is from America. New York.
I see.
Pushing himself off the couch, he waves a hand at you. Oh, not that tone, Aunt Rebecca. I figured you would be the one who would be sympathetic and not judge her for merely being from another country. Americans are plenty civilized.
I wouldn't say civilized.
And I would disagree. Could uncivilized people create motor cars?
Oh, well, there's no doubting that they're inventive.
What is the problem with that?
And this is the reason that you assumed grandfather would not approve.
Aunt Rebecca, he's your father. You know how he is. I am frankly surprised he has allowed you to live on your own. Much less father being so caught up in work all the time.
Yes. How long have you known this woman?
For about a year. And she enchants me every time we meet. Every recital we attend, every book she reads. I have never seen a woman so enthusiastic over a dish as simple as steak and roasted potatoes.
You are certainly a thorn, and more like your father by the day. All of us hopeless romantics.
Are we speaking of the same man? I half expect if he were to know of my fancy for Emily, he would appear just so long enough as to give me an earful and then a wag of his finger. And then he would be off again, much like the London fog. Gone but never forgotten. I wanted to ask his permission of something. Something more than Emily, though not as important.
She rolls her hand for him to continue.
A good friend, an Englishman if you must know, he plans to join Her Majesty's Navy. I support it completely, naturally. I just encouraged him to finish what it is he has here before going out to fight for Queen and country. A friend, if you must know, yes, he is an American and a Texan, suggested that we go for a hunt. And I need Father's leave to go for a hunt. He suggested to hunt game in Africa.
You wish to go to Africa?
Only for a couple of months, just long enough to bag something suitable to bring back home. I'm sure grandfather wouldn't mind. I went hunting with him just the other day. And it would look rather fetching to have a stuffed African beast in the living room.
When do you plan to go on this proposed trip?
I would hope within a couple of months, maybe. But also a part of me is worried. I want to tell Father about Emily. And I want him to accept that I would very much like to be with this woman. And perhaps one day be wed. But I feel as though if I ask him for one thing and then another, he may deny me. And then there's merely the prospect of speaking. I know I shouldn't feel this way, but I think I would rather face down the beasts of Africa than speak to Father.
It saddens me to say that you don't know your father as well as you might think, and that's no fault of your own. If you come back around the same time tomorrow evening, I'll make sure your father is here so that you can speak to him.
He rubs at the back of his neck. I feel as though I am about to meet Queen Victoria, and the headsman will be standing behind me.
There is no need to dread it, sir.
But dread it I do. I wish I had something that... If I had just one chance to impress Father, or to show him the kind of man I am, or the man I could be, then I would feel more confident. As it stands, I feel as though I am the gazelle trying to approach the crocodile-infested waters. Do you think it would be better if I maybe spoke to him after the trip to Africa? If I come back with some lion's pelt or something, maybe then he would be more impressed by the kind of man his son is and be more willing to acquiesce to a request. Just, if nothing else, if he could give me this, I could be happy. It's all I want. I will do whatever else he tells me to do for the rest of my life. Just accept that.
Your father is quite preoccupied with his sense of duty, though I suppose... If you were to get your grandfather's blessing and then after your trip, how long, by the way, do you think your trip would last?
Maybe a month, or perhaps 2 even, just long enough to go there by ship and back. The hunt would be a week.
She nods, and kind of looks at him out of the corner of her eye and says, "And this isn't just to put off a conversation with your father now, is it?"
No, it's nothing like that. Though I admit, it's a benefit. He pauses to look at you.
She shakes her head.
With a big smile, he says, I am excited by the idea of doing this, going on this hunt. My friend, the American I told you about, who suggested the idea, the way he talks about Texas and the untamed American West, it's very exciting. I think it would be quite nice to visit such a place.
You don't just want to hear about it, but you want to have a taste of the exposure for yourself.
He rubs the back of his neck as though bashful. A young man with adventure in his heart and death in his hand.
Rebecca leans back into the seat, kind of gesturing almost lazily towards him, saying, I perfectly understand.
If I may, Aunt Rebecca, that worries me. Especially if it seems that your adventure has been with some strange fellow that I haven't the devil any idea of, only that by his description, I don't think he has good intentions. I should seriously like to meet this man. He adjusts what seems to be a knife under his vest. Ah, yes. He wants to try to intimidate the 200-year-old Toreador.
Oh dear, what is
You can see it now, him with the same attempted tone of your father interrogating Charnock as to his intentions. You can't think of anything going more horribly wrong.
She waves her hand, saying, Thank you, but that is quite all right. This gentleman has treated me with every respect.
Yes, well, he had best. Otherwise, I do have a friend familiar with the East End. Though it's dreadful whenever I have to go get him from there.
Sounds like a truly terrifying man.
Terrifying is the places he drags me to whenever I have to find him.
Oh, don't tell me you've been wondering about the East End.
Not often, and lately entirely avoided. The other day I had a dreadful experience that has brought back old.
What happened?
Charisma and expression. He crosses his arms for a moment, somewhat defensively, before saying, It was just that I felt uneasy, as though someone were watching. There was a familiar sensation as to when I was a young lad. It's nothing to worry about, just nonsense.
Has this been a more recent sensation?
Just something that happened offhand. It's nothing to dwell on. I've already mostly put it out of my mind. It just left a bit of poor taste in my mouth. It's this Ripper business, without doubt, getting to me. It's why I wish to avoid the East End, but it is why I have been keeping a knife on. The sheath given to me by my American friend. He does have a taste for weapons of all sorts. I suppose that's quite common among Americans. They all seem to brandish a dozen weapons as though it's completely ordinary. I wouldn't be surprised to see an American walking down the streets of London with a rifle the same way that a Londoner walks down the street with a cane. Fanciful to see.
And you call them civilized?
A civilization of a different kind. Much like the Aztecs were different to the Spaniards.
I suppose that is one way you can see it.
It's not the most polite way, I confess, but it is amusing.
But don't think I don't see what you're doing. If there is something bothering you, I would like to know you are my brother's son.
He seems to take a slight step back, his eyes averting yours. Go ahead and charisma and expression. He doesn't look at you, but he does seem to open up a little. He fiddles with the buttons on the front of his vest. I had bad dreams as a boy. It was shortly after Mother's passing. I would dream that she came to visit late in the night. At one point, I dreamt that she crawled out from under my bed and climbed into bed with me, holding me, speaking softly. And there was a dreadful cold to her touch. He shudders, Some nights I dreamt that I could just see her face peering at me through the darkness. It was the same kind of feeling I had in the East End. It's silliness, nothing. I just wonder if perhaps one day I might end up in a sanitarium such as she did. If maybe there isn't something wrong, or if I'm not the reason she's dead. She was fine before pregnant with me.
Rebecca, where is he right now?
Stood a few feet away from you, where you are on the couch, having since gotten up, considering his antsy disposition.
Rebecca goes over to put a hand on his shoulder, squeezing his shoulders comfortingly as she says, I know things haven't always been the easiest for you. But one day when you grow up, you'll see that you're a better man for it, withdrawing hardships. And one day you will be the head of this family.
In true British fashion, he puts on a stiff upper lip, nods. A sudden knocking comes at the door. Edna is already on the way towards it. And Arthur, being who he is listening keenly, his eyes suddenly narrowed. But once he hears that it's a father, oh, well, problem. That's perfectly acceptable. And that's where the scene will conclude, as he'll quickly take that time to excuse himself, making sure to shake the good father's hand. And now I'm going to refill my beverage. Be right back.